Here we go. We're going to start with section 12.3 now. Again, share my screen, clean it up. And today we're going to be talking about a couple of things, but they're both pretty straightforward and simple. Okay. Another measure of central tendency is known as the range. The range is the difference between the highest and lowest values in the data set, includes the total spread of the data. So I'm going to look down here at this set of data right here that has 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. That's it, 23. Okay. When I'm looking at this, if I want to find the range, plain and simple, 23 minus 17 equals 8. Yeah, good math. 23 minus 17 does not equal 8, for those of you who are math teachers. 23 minus 17 is 6. That's the range of that data. It goes from 1723, so it's got a 6-unit range. That is probably the easiest measure of central tendency to find. Okay, I want to focus on the next stuff. If you have not started 12.3, you're going to be glad that you didn't, because this is a heck of a lot easier than what you're seeing here. We're going to compute the standard deviation for 2 samples. This sample over here that I just talked about, 17 through 23, and this sample over here, 5 through 35, counting up by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 30, 35. Okay, we're going to find the standard deviation of those 2 samples. Okay, this is how we used to have to do it back in the old days before we had these nice machines. Okay, we had to find the deviation, which is taking the number and subtracting the mean and getting these values. And then you had to find the square of the deviation, which was -3 squared is 9, and you had to find that. And then you had to take those things and add them up, and you get this value right here, okay? And then you had to do a bunch of work down here. The standard deviation is the sum of the standard deviation squared divided by the number of terms minus 1, and then take the square root of that. This is a bunch of work that you are not going to have to do, and you're going to be so glad that you waited to do this for now. Okay, please know that I am going into, sorry, I gotta go to here because I want to go down to the next page. I'm going to clear the red stuff off. Okay, and then right here, remember that first one was 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms. N is 7. I'm going to just save you a whole bunch of time right now. I would suggest highly that as I'm doing this, you pause the video and write down the steps that I am telling you, because you may forget them, but you don't want to. This is important. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this screen right here. I'm going to go back to this handy dandy machine I got called a calculator. Okay, and I'm going to get back into my regular calculator part and go to where I want you to be. Okay, so we've got these values here, 17 through 23, and now I see that they're in the middle of my my list. So I'm going to rewrite them over here, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, get them off of my screen. And then I'm going to erase over here. Get that stuff going. All right. Here's where I want you to pause and write down the steps. Okay. I am sitting here with my calculator, and you are going to be so glad that you know how to do this. Okay. First thing, there's a little button here called Stat. And when I press this button, this is the screen that comes up. Okay. I'm going to take this stat and I'm going to click 1 for edit. Okay. And you're going to see a thing come up on mine. I did it on purpose so I could show you a little trick. But when I press enter on number 1, it comes up with this screen. It says L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and L6. Okay. And I've got values in here. The first thing I'm going to do is show you this trick to get rid of these values. Hey, when I go up here, if I go up into L1 and highlight that and I press clear and then I press enter, it clears everything that's in that. That's one of the tricks that is helpful. If I want to get rid of everything, instead of having to delete everything, especially when my tables are really high, highlight the L value, press clear, and then come down and press enter, and you will have a blank slate. Now I'm going to come over here into L1. If you do not have an L1, put it in L2, and I'll show you what to do later. I'm coming over here. I keep forgetting that my cursor does not move this. I have to do it on my calculator. And I'm going to type in my values that I have. 17, down arrow. I didn't mean to do that. Bear with me. Down arrow. Go to 18, down arrow. 19, down arrow. 20, down arrow. 21, down arrow. 22, down arrow. 23, down arrow, up arrow. I always want to have my cursor in my data. Sometimes I found that sometimes if I don't have my cursor inside of, what I mean by inside is that it's highlighted on one of the values that I'm talking about. It sometimes gives me data. So remember, that's where you should have paused, or you could have paused to know how to put the numbers into a list. Okay, this is list 1. Okay, the second thing that I'm going to do here, I'm going to press that stat button again. And then I'm going to right arrow to calculate. And you have this button here called 1 variable stats. It is 1 again. So I'm going to press enter on that, or 1. And it's going to say 1 var stats, list L1. If you have a different list, then you need to make it a different thing by using the second. So if I wanted to change this to L2, I would press second, and then L2 is the number 2, and it would change that to L2. I like it as L1. Okay. So I'm just going to go down. I'm doing it in list 1. I'm coming down here to calculate, where it's blinking on calculate, and I'm going to press enter. And it's going to come up with all this stuff that you're going to say, what is the mess that's going on here? Okay. One thing that you should see is down about 2/3 of the way is this little thing here, and equals 7. Okay. It's right there. Okay. That one's good. Okay. Here's the kicker. All that stuff that I was showing on that previous page, okay, my mean, we did on the last chapter, is this button right there, and or that value right there, which is 20. Okay, and then down below here, we've got this thing that says FX, and that equals 2.16. That value right there is my standard deviation. Okay. So I'm going to call back up my little sheet here real quick. All of the stuff that was done in this table, down here, the square root, all that stuff was done simply by putting these values into my calculator and knowing what buttons to push. I have the standard deviation 2.16 is right there. I hope you see it. And what did we have right here? Okay. All of this work was on the calculator. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple other things that are important to you on the calculator itself. Okay. I'm going to down arrow a couple and I'm going to say, oh, there's something else that's cool. The median, MED, the median equals 20. Okay. So on this screen, I have the mean, the median, the standard deviation. Okay. I can get the mode just by looking at my data. There is no mode. Okay. I can find my mid range. That answer for Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I had to find out what was going on down at Casper. So everything's going well for anybody that is wondering. So he's going to be home tomorrow. So that's how you use that. I'm going to go ahead and go quit on this and go back to here because I'm going to do the same thing one more time with this other set of values that I have in here, the sample B. And this time I'm going to be a little bit smarter with where I put my numbers, but it's counting up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So that's pretty easy. Okay. The range is easy to find. So go to your calculator and remember I'm taking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Notice that these two sets of data, the ones that I had, do have the same median. Okay, let's watch what happens with the rest of the values. Okay, my range is 35 minus 5, which is 30. Okay, but let's do this again. Stat, edit 1, or enter. Okay, if you want to clear out data, go up into the box above, press clear, then enter. That clears it all out. Then let's enter our data. We've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Down arrow, up arrow. Okay. Now, that calculate one variable stats. Number one, list L1. That's where I'm working out of. Go down to calculate, enter. This has a mean of 20. This has a standard deviation of 10.801. It has a 7 numbers in its thing. Okay. This other data is important and we'll talk about it later. But for right now, median is 20. No mode. Mid-range. 35 plus 5 divided by 2. 40 divided by 2 is 20. The range, talked about just a second ago, 35 minus 5 is 30. All that stuff comes basically from right here. I just took away so much work just by knowing how to run this calculator. And that's very important. I can't say enough about knowing what you're doing here. It'll save you time and even more time as we go forward. That's it for 12.2, 12.3. I forgot which section we're in. So next one will be showing up soon. Have a good one.